I think that we are live. Welcome everybody to the Cranky Thumb Collective Collage Making live stream. This is our second time live streaming, and we are really so glad that you are here. In this week's time together, we're going to basically pick up where we left off. So let's go ahead and get started. I do hope that from the time that we saw each other last or met last, I hope that your days have been good, and I hope that this time is kind of a time for you to just take a deep breath. It's your midday, it's our end of day. I hope that you find this grounding and relaxing time for us to do some simple acts of creating together. All right. So here's some of the shapes and forms that I cut out last time. Oh, I also want to add that I'm very fortunate to have my spouse helping me with this live stream, and so she has put on a little bit of background music for us. If you are thinking that it's something that you don't want to hear, just let us know in the chat. She's going to be kind of adding things to the chat as well. So the last time that we met together, I showed you this, what I like to call my little collage making toolkit. And the reason that I've brought this back out is because with having a toolkit, with having this all kind of assembled together, for me, it really indicates the portability of collage making. And I think that I hope that you can take your collage making activities anywhere you go, kind of away from screens into other spaces where you might want to be engaged in collage making. So very recently, actually last week, we went to the beach, and I decided to take my collage making kit with me to the beach, and I decided that I was going to cut some shapes on the beach, which was my first outing of that nature with my collage making kit. And so I sat in my chair and I put a little blanket on my lap, and I sat down and I just started cutting paper. And as opposed to, took out my little scissors, as opposed to needing to draw any particular shapes, sometimes I like to draw circles or draw the outline first and then cut them. I decided that I was just going to take one color paper, yellow of course, and I was going to sit and I was just going to cut, and I was going to kind of reflect on the space that I was in, reflect on the ocean and reflect on the waves. And so you can see from some of the shapes that I ended up cutting out, and I have to say I really love these shapes. It reminds me of maybe pieces of kelp that you might find in the ocean, or seaweed, or different waves. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a collage that I do just in one color. And then I took some of the backing. I think I also mentioned in our last time that I like to use food packaging for the backing for collage. So I took this basmati rice packaging and I painted it with just some basic Liquitex acrylic paint, this light blue permanent color. And it came out really nice. It's just a sort of flat, sort of matte acrylic, has a little bit of a sheen on it, but it covered the cardboard really well. And then I started laying down some of the shapes that I made while I was at the beach. And you can see that you can really assemble these in lots of different ways. But the point of this one being that yes, indeed, you can take collage with you just about anywhere. So I hope that you too, when you're not engaged in sitting in front of a screen, as many of us have to do a lot, that you will take your collage somewhere and out into nature. Now, if we go back to the shapes that we cut last time, what we talked about was just really leaving the shapes. If you had a chance to do some of that paper cutting, that we would leave the shapes, not glued, not assembled. We would just kind of have them right here, as you can see. And so I did that as well. And throughout different days when I was, had a chance, I started kind of moving the shapes around. And you see that I've put this black paper down, hopefully to make this easier for you to see. I started putting just different shapes together, and so many different forms came to mind. And of course, we were together when I cut these out, and there was no set formula that I used for doing this, but you can start to see how you can really imagine the different forms. I see a face in that, an abstract face, so much potential. So this simple act reminds me of a quote that comes from George Bernard Shaw that I wanted to share with you before we really get into doing this a little bit more. And you've probably heard this, and I think Bernard Shaw, as he liked to be called according to Wikipedia, says that life isn't about finding ourselves, it's about creating ourselves. And very recently I saw kind of a distilled down version of that quote, which is, through creating, we are creating ourselves. And I thought about this today when I was preparing and just moving around all of these shapes, which is, can we find pieces of ourselves in these cut pieces of paper? And I have to say, I think we can. I think that I can, and I hope that you can too. So continuing on in this collage adventure, this particular shape that I cut last week with you, at the time, made me think of a wave. I end up cutting these kind of wavy shapes a lot, as you can see, all sorts of waves. But when I started moving it around in the middle of the week, a different shape came to mind. And what came to mind for me was something that I really love, another thing that I enjoy doing in my spare time, and that is playing guitar. And so in this, I see, I don't know if you see it, but I see one half of a guitar. So I thought that today, as we're kind of cutting shapes together, cutting pieces together, that I would see if I couldn't assemble what may be the other part, the other half of the guitar. And what I would ask that you do is that as you're cutting your shapes, perhaps some of the shapes that you had from last week, just start moving those shapes around and seeing what things come to mind, what other pictures come to mind, and see what you end up creating. And if you would like to follow along with making this guitar, well, we'll see what this turns out to be, then I encourage you to do that as well. Whatever comes to mind for you, whatever feels relaxing in our simple acts of creating. So I'm going to my trusty toolkit, and I want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and I think just use this green. I don't want to pick the same color. I want this to be kind of different. And let's see, pull out some of these other shapes that I have here. So I have this kind of pink shape. You can see now very abstractly that it's kind of the beginnings of a guitar neck perhaps. But first, let's get the other half of the guitar body down. think what I want to do, I don't want it to be this. So if I draw this here, it's going to be very balanced. Instead, I don't want so much symmetry. I want this to kind of not be so perfect, if you will. I'm working in my own art practices, which is a stretch for me, is to try to embrace not being so perfect-minded. And what that means is just trying to let some of that perfection go. So that's already kind of an interesting shape. So I'm gonna cut this out. One of the things that I've been thinking about with this guitar that I've seen is, I believe, if I remember my art history correctly, is that Picasso, who is one of the founders of Collage, I believe that one of the first pieces that he made, if not the first, was a guitar. So I've been trying really hard, as I've been thinking this week about guitars, is to not look at his, because I don't want his in my mind. I want to make sure that I make my own. Okay, so I think that's already interesting. Now let's take a look at the other shapes that we have, and let's see what we get here. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Okay. Let's see. So there's our guitar neck. I'm gonna have to pull this down a little bit so you can see. I'm not sure you can see all of it, but hopefully you're seeing a lot of this. And then in our shapes, the shapes that I cut last week, okay. So this, of course, this is the guitar neck. We need that piece at the top of guitars, that kind of where the tuning pegs go. So I think I want to make that part of the shape, but I like these elements here. And you see that I'm also not, I'm using different colors, high contrast colors with both the orange and the green, and then the pink. You can use whatever colors that you like, whatever colors come to mind for you. Now I have these feel a little big to me, so I'm gonna borrow, I like the yellow though, I'm gonna borrow one of my shapes that I cut at the beach. My yellow shape, so I'm going to cut out some of those. I've got some yellow right here. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not even going to trace it. Let's go ahead and get a circle cut out here. You all are encouraging me to be even more courageous with taking on my perfectionism. Okay, so we've got this one. There's so many more, but I think, why don't we try, let's try 2. We might have to go a little bit smaller, but this, let's see what, if 2 work. Actually 4. Well, I'd add a couple more here. And if you are with us today and you would like to share anything that you're making in the chat, please feel free. And if not, no worries, because my hope is that you are, whoops, enjoying the acts of paper cutting. Okay, getting good at these shapes without doing an outline first. Let's do one more. There we go. That's pretty interesting. A little bit bigger. Great. Now, I think I had a shape in here that would allow us to, that we could use as kind of the top, the stock. Although, let's see, I think that part of it, yep, I see it. Let's move these over here. So let me pull this down. Hopefully you can see this. Probably this should go here, maybe. These little pegs. Now, one more thing that I want to do is, I feel like this needs more contrast. I think that these 2 colors, well, they're the same. I think we need a little bit something else here. So I'm going to grab my trusty bag of lids, and I'm going to cut out a red one. Let's see, grab my red paper here. And I am gonna trace this one. It's a little bit bigger circle. One thing with these lids is, even though they have the little ridges, don't let that stop you if you decide to collect your own caps for tracing. The ridges never really matter. It kind of works out well. So this is where, if you have, I guess it would be an acoustic guitar, I'm cutting out that hole in the body of the guitar that allows the music to come out. Okay, so let's see, we're either going to replace it or we're going to put it on top. I kind of like that. I like, again, the contrast that we're making here, what that looks like. I think that's really interesting. Okay, so I have some other pieces that we can add. These again are the ones that we cut last time, just little squares. Nice. This is my guitar tuner. Haha, just kidding. Okay, now we've got kind of the basic idea for an element that's sort of abstract, but also something that's really important to me in my life, music, and a musical instrument that I enjoy playing. So at this point, what I like to do, is think about where I'm going to mount it. And I wanted to show you these. I think I showed them to you last time. But so this is yes, I did show them to you last time. So this is the cereal box that I cut out. But you see, when I first started with this one, I didn't paint the back of the cardboard, which is fine. I think it adds its own element when you let the cardboard appear naturally behind. And then in this one, I used the collage paper itself with parts of the collage and then kind of hid the background, natural color. So for the guitar, what I think I want to do is I have Magnum ice cream bar cardboard that I can use. I also have, these are ones that I've just kind of picked out. And again, this is just food packaging, because I've become very aware of all of the packaging overseas, since our garbage can is so small, and you'll see how you fill up a trash can really fast when you have a tiny trash can. So I try really hard to make good use of all of this. So I want to use both. I can use either one of these. The Kellogg's box, I think, is a little bit bigger than what I want to go for as far as like a background. And I also think that I want to paint this, and I think that what I'm going to do is paint this background purple, because I think the purple will really work out well with the colors that I have that actually make up my guitar. So I wanted to show you what some of these colors look like. I showed you the blue already. And you don't have to make the background just a solid color. So this is what that purple will look like. And maybe we'll do this together. I don't know if you want to do a little bit of painting, but maybe we can try to do that with just painting some of this cardboard, painting a backing. But this is one where it's just like, solid all the way across. This is a plain crackers backing. And you see that I selected part that is blue and then part that is purple. And then this one I was like, well, heck, let's make that wave again. And you see when you do this, and I just want to kind of give you an example of all of the things that you can do here, and we will keep on with our guitar. So it's how you can just start playing with, I'm just laying these down however they come. You can do so much when you start to also play with the backgrounds. Make sure you can see these. So I think what I'm going to do, I think that today, as we conclude our time together, so simple and so beautiful already. Goodness. I also have to say I like to have multiple collages going at one time, and you can see how easy it is to do that. So those are the ways that you can paint the backing. So what I'm going to do, I'm either going to paint it this week and I'll have it for us next week, or we'll do a little bit of painting together. Just let me know what your thoughts are. You can email or chat or however you want to reach out. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to experiment with painting the backing. At least I might do this top portion of the box. I might do this like a purple. Maybe I'll do something different here and then do this in a blue. We'll have to see. But then what we'll do is just we'll lay the guitar right on top of that, and we'll get that glued down and see what that looks like. And we'll also make some other elements. Now, in conclusion, I want to tell you one thing about nature and the wonderful shapes that you can find in nature. So back to the beach. As we're getting ready to leave the beach, I found this really lovely rock, which is its own kind of spherical shape. Certainly not perfect, because I don't know if there's anything in nature that is perfect, although very beautiful. And so it feels nice. But what I also want to do is I want to use it as a shape that I trace. So I wanted to do this with you today just to see what it was like. I haven't done this yet. And this is how we'll kind of end our time today, is just having nature help us out a little, which is nice as opposed to using the plastic as I think about it. Okay, what a great shape. So the beach we found this on is called Hamara Beach, and the water is from the Ionian Sea, and it's the first time that I have ever seen the kind of water that you see in, I guess, travel magazines, that beautiful cerulean blue color, turquoise blue, crystal clear. And so I'm really glad that I have this rock to help me remember my time at that beach. What a lovely shape. Maybe this shape will be the shape that I use in the guitar. I think I will. Nice. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And again, thank you for being with us. Please take your collage making somewhere and just go and make something beautiful.